the home of the common Joe and the common Sally in the know, even more so than all those media talking.
College football fans can be great. Some of the most passionate fans of all time of any sport. But then they can be somewhat unrealistic and spoiled. And crying and wetting their diapers and losing their bowels over stuff that just makes them look spoiled. Let's talk about it. Well, it's another episode of the OCF, that's the Outlaw of College Football. And I can also be located on Twitter at OCF Productions and on Facebook under Jesse Paul Clark, spelled Jesse without the I. That's right. Now, getting right to it. Yesterday's Alabama versus Texas game, I come in here and done a short real quick just to poke both fan bases, really, to be honest with you, mostly the Texas fans. But yesterday's game, the Alabama fans, man, they get me too, man. It's just like you went on the road and you had a bad game. Yes, Alabama didn't look the greatest in the world, but you had a bad game. You had 15 penalties called on you, and you still won. So I would take that if I were you, because, I mean, what would you rather do, lose? I mean, how you going to complain about being able to overcome some Big 12 officiating and that a lot of Texas fans claimed was the was the suspect in them losing the game, and it was just excuses on both sides of the ball and why Alabama had such a close win and how bad we looked. And then there was Texas fans who were like, "Oh, Quinn Ewers got injured and Colt McCoy 2.0. Come on, man. Seriously? Alabama had Tua Tagovailoa injured a few years ago. Jalen Hurts came in and won the game for us. You're like, well, that's not the same because their quarterback wasn't experienced. Yeah, he was. I don't want to hear that bullshit, man. Hudson Card had experience. I think he started a few games last year. So to say that he was a scrub and you brought him in there and that's what cost you the game, man, I'm just not going to let you do that. Yeah, it's true that maybe the game would have had a different outcome had Quinn Ewers been in it. But like y'all said, injuries is a part of the game. Now, when Alabama fans last year were crying about all wide receivers being injured for the Georgia game, you had some Alabama fans crying about that. Y'all were all pissed off at them for saying that. But now it's okay to use the injury excuse when it's convenient for the Alabama haters out there, like the Texas fans were. Now, don't get me wrong, there's some good Texas people out there, like Lee Barden, who's on my channel quite a bit. But there's a contingent that really are elitist and somewhat piss me off. So I got some notes here. The Big 12 officials, both Alabama fans and Texas fans, were complaining about these guys. And I ain't going to lie to you, they were some horrendous ass calls on both sides of the ball. But to say that the officials helped Alabama win when they're Big 12 officials, now what happened to that? The Big 12 officials officiating that game. In non-conference games, in road games, you're supposed to bring your own officials. That's the way it's always been. Now, why it wasn't in this game, I don't know. So, y'all can't be saying that it was SEC officials that helped Alabama out, because it wasn't. As a matter of fact, they called 15 penalties on Alabama for a new Nick Saban coach team record. 15. Not to mention that third and one, where we was about to ice the game, where they went back and reviewed it, and it wasn't inconclusive enough to overturn it, and yet they overturned it. And then we had to go for it on 4th and 1 and still didn't get it. So, I don't want to hear no bullshit about the officials cost y'all the game. Oh, yeah, and that safety that y'all supposedly thought you got, if you look at the replay and you're an unbiased fan and you look at it, Bryce Young wasn't down. He was on top of that guy. He threw the ball. He hit the guy in the helmet. So you can't call an intentional grounding. But at that point, tip ball. That's what it's called. Now, they did reverse it and keep them from having a 15-yard penalty and getting a first down, which you're not supposed to be able to reverse that call. Alabama was supposed to get a 15-yard penalty out of that because they didn't call roughing the passer. You can't go back and review that. You can review the targeting that was called, but they called roughing the passer as well. So you can't do that. But they did it. They did it. So I don't want to hear Texas fans saying that the officials helped them out. Also, what's up with the band not being able to come and play? Yeah, they'll say, well, that was Alabama's choice. We was going to put them in the upper deck. Why would you put the band in the upper deck? They're having to carry these big-ass tubas and shit up in the upper deck? Really? Sounds a little inhospitable to me. And if I was some of the good Texas fans, I'd try to get this shit corrected. Because, you know, what comes around goes around. And they do come to Tuscaloosa, but I can guarantee you this. We won't treat Texas fans and their band like Texas administration treated us. Also, I know that you're supposed to have a home field advantage in all this. And I'm not complaining about that at all. But how are you not going to have air conditioning? They didn't have air conditioning. As you can see in this graphic here, they didn't have air conditioning in the visitors' locker room. Alabama had to run their own AC units. Now, how can you do that? Over a football game, it's 120 degrees on the field. That's not being funny and trying to get a little bit of home field advantage. That could cause some issues for people. I mean, you could really hurt somebody. Have a heat stroke, all sorts of stuff, man. That's inexcusable. And once again, you good Texas fans out there, you need to get with your administration and get with them and tell them that you don't want to have a home field advantage to the point where you're actually, in a way, trying to put someone's health at risk. And sure, Alabama fans need to clean some things up. I mean, the Alabama team needs to clean some things up. I'm not saying that we didn't look bad. I'm just saying that would you have rather lost? Alabama fans, y'all, we're coming across as spoiled, man. You got a 1-point victory on the road over a Power 5 team that used to be pretty damn good. Now, yet last year they went 5-7. I understand that, but Texas is still Texas, and Texas will eventually get it right. You guys act like we went to Nashville and pulled out a squeaker against Vanderbilt. So stop crying about it and stop talking about how bad we looked. There was a lot of shit going against us behind the scenes and everything that you really don't realize. I mean, if I'm a visiting team, I would complain. If Texas joins the SEC, if they end up coming on over here and don't change their mind, then the SEC needs to get with them and tell them, hey, look, it's okay to have a home field advantage. Paint the locker rooms pink like Iowa does. And something like that's hee-haw, but don't be trying to put people's health at risk and make them have a heat stroke by not having any air conditioning in 120-degree weather on the field. Also, Alabama was 1-7-1 all-time against Texas going this game. So, to not be satisfied with winning this game, just straight up, comes across as spoiled once again. We're now 2-7-1 against them. So quit crying. Both fan bases quit crying. It was a sloppy game in some points, but at the end, it was a thrilling game. And that's what college football gives us. It gives us thrilling moments. And that's what happened. So stop with the crying. That's constant crying. I have to keep looking at these notes right here because there was so much shit between both teams. I can't even remember everything. But just enjoy the win, Alabama fans. Let's quit being spoiled. Let's learn from our lessons from when Bear Bryant left and we went through that period of time where we were sort of spoiled and being unrealistic. I mean, to win a national championship every 2 or 3 years, like Nick Saban is doing, or every 2 years, I mean, that's even unrealistic by Alabama standards. Texas fans, administration, not really the fans, administration, man, y'all get y'all's act together, man. And quit trying to pull some chicanery to try to get you a victory. Try to win straight up without doing crazy shit like not having air conditioning in 120-degree weather. And that's all I got to say about that. Like, share, comment, and subscribe to this channel. And as always, KMCA to all the other teams. Class is now dismissed.